Welcome to Authenticity Unleashed. I'm your host, Pam Rader, and I'm so excited to have my dear friend who is an amazing coach, a yoga teacher, and just a soul sister of mine who is so infinitely wise. Erin Payne is in the house today, and I'm so stoked for our conversation, which is going to be so deep and juicy and rich for everybody. So welcome, Erin.
Hey, thank you, Pam. I'm so happy to be here. I just feel really aligned with you right now, and I'm super excited to have this conversation. So thank you.
Me too. So let's dive in to
Mhm.
breakdowns. Breakdowns as opportunities for breakthroughs. So both of us, our lives just went to shit.
Just like right now.
Just like right in the thick of it. And it's not just us. We were just chatting before we got online here about some other dear friends of ours, and it seems to be that there's a lot of breakdowns, a lot of illusions being exposed right now. A lot of people are going through it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think people are starting to get to a point where they're like, I just want to be authentically me. And what does
Mhm,
that mean? And when
mhm.
that happens, it shakes your life up. It's
Right.
inevitable.
Yeah. And we have two choices as I see it. We can take that breakdown and become the victim and say it's happening to me and it's awful. And we have the opportunity to say, could I heal? What's there to learn from this? Now, I don't want to be pious about this and stand on some soapbox and say you got to do the second because I waver back and forth.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, you were the first one that taught me about victimhood, and it's been a long journey of learning how to not be in victimhood as best I can, as the
Yeah.
caveat there. And
Yeah.
I still find myself in victimhood, but I do know in like intrinsically in my bones that victimhood is absolutely not where we want to be. It does not
No.
give us what we need.
No, and it's a funny thing. I catch myself in it, and I think it's an old habit. I think we revert back to old strategies and patterns from our past when we're in unknown territory. And that's a well worn groove for most of us. It's easier to attribute our discomfort to external circumstances beyond our control than it is to look inward and say, how did I contribute to the breakdown? How did the situation actually really occur, if I'm being honest? So
Absolutely. Like, where's my responsibility?
yeah, so you're going through a separation and a divorce, and
Hmm.
it's a big life change, and you've got little ones at home.
Hmm.
I'm also going through that. We're navigating like the dating world.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
I never thought I'd be doing that at 54 years old.
I know, right?
And and life is throwing some really interesting challenges, but I know for me, I have had some old wounds come up, attachment wounds, some patterns, some strategies that I was unaware of. I had blind spots too, and I like to consider myself pretty self-aware and someone who's very willing to do the work. And I have been a little resistant. It feels like a lot, but I think
Absolutely.
that all the work that maybe we've done up to now has prepared me for this and you for this moment of like real deep healing.
Absolutely. I think it's given us an amount of awareness that if you have a certain amount of awareness going through this, you can navigate the ship a little bit easier. But
Mhm,
it's just like what you said, right? Like, yeah, we have blind spots to this when we aren't going through a breakdown around it.
mhm.
And when boom, all of a sudden the breakdown comes, whoa, it's like we're faced with these emotions that are tidal waves at times and learning how to build the capacity just to hold that. But we don't know what we don't know until we're going through the breakdown. So it really can be an opportunity, but also like,
Yeah. The very human part of us that wants comfort goes, I don't want to do, can I just bury my head in the sand and do what I used to do?
yeah, exactly, exactly. But that awareness piece is huge. Going through
Yeah.
it with awareness is much easier. Not that it's easy.
Well, that's the thing. I think like you said, we're steering the ship. But what I want to ask you is, as a coach and a leader and a spiritual teacher, which I consider you to be a spiritual teacher, how do we expand our capacity to hold all of those tidal waves of emotion. What's required within ourselves? What are some tangible things that we can do to help us expand our capacity? Because it is overwhelming at times.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, what I've learned and in the past few years of kind of doing this work and then recently is it kind of comes down to learning how to regulate your nervous system for one. And so and everybody's nervous system has like a flow, right? So someone who has avoidant tendencies, someone who has anxious tendencies, someone who has both, like it's not a one stop shop. It's not just like a prescribed thing that it works for everybody all the time. So you really have to figure out what makes you feel safe. And that was how I kind of started this journey. I just asked myself a lot, do I feel safe? And I started to identify that I'm not feeling safe. And so regulating my nervous system with self care was a big one, actually. It was definitely a big one. Kind of
Let
became
me
one of the
just
things that I
pause
did.
you for 1 second because I want to just really like get like the nitty gritty of safe because some people would say like, what do you mean safe? Like, is someone attacking you or whatever? But like our nervous system scanning the environment 4 times a second, looking for am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And if something comes up that reminds us of something that happened in the past that hurt us, it will have that same response, even though that thing might not be happening. And so it's like a it's not necessarily that you aren't safe in the moment, but everything in our body says, I'm not safe.
Absolutely.
And so when we're talking about regulating the nervous system, it's actually bringing the nervous system back online to the present moment and the ability to discern what's happening right now. Is that sort of what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And just understanding that sometimes we feel safe in really chaotic environments, right? And so starting to bring awareness to, like, I feel really safe when I have a love that is very comfortable and
Mm-hmm.
not like what I actually want in the world.
Right.
So it's just learning about what our nervous system is telling us and what we're used to. And sometimes our nervous system says we're safe when it's not like a saber-toothed tiger is coming after us, but it's just maybe not necessarily what we want to
Mm-hmm.
have. And so I think that the next, I feel like that's kind of the first thing, and maybe just like getting to know your nervous system might be a better way to describe
Ooh,
it. It's like
okay.
getting to understand yourself, like know thyself in every scenario you
So
can.
what are some ways that you went about like getting to know your nervous system and getting to know yourself?
Well, I like yeah, like I said, I started asking myself, do I feel safe right now? And I found myself in a scenario in a situation where I didn't feel safe a lot of the time. And I was comfortable there. I was actually comfortable there. So it was a really interesting paradox to understand and start to dismantle and unpack about myself. And sometimes it was really clear, to be honest, and sometimes it wasn't.
Mm.
So what I did was like easy ways of making myself feel safe. So um like I would contain myself in a way that in like a time. So for example, time, I would say, okay, I just need to be here for 10 minutes. So if I'm going to have an uncomfortable conversation with someone, I give myself a 10-minute time frame to have the conversation. And at that point, if it's working for me, I can stay or I can leave. And it
Mhm.
just, can you see how that kind of just like gives you just that extra level of safety?
Well, it's I think that one of the greatest feelings of unsafe, like feeling unsafe, is not knowing when discomfort is going to end.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's really brilliant to give us a time frame. And in fact, that works even, if you don't feel like working out and you say, I'm just going to work out for 10 minutes, there's something that like tricks your brain into it all being okay.
Absolutely. And it can just be these small, simple things, right?
Mhm.
Like time, a schedule, even money. Learning how to contain your money is
Mhm.
because I used to and sometimes still do spend really frivolously and I just let my money go really easily. Whereas now, in the situation that I'm in right now, I sure as heck need to learn how to contain my money.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a big one, right?
Well, one thing that I came across in my studies when I was learning coaching years ago was that, whatever we resist persists, and what we embrace dissolves, which is a spiritual teaching. So when we have these big waves of emotion, or when we have this fear of having a difficult conversation or feeling our anxiety or whatever it is, when we stuff it down, we just make it worse. And so for me, one of the ways that I have learned to expand the capacity to hold those things is to make an appointment with my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So, 10 minutes, as you said, like to sit and just feel like, what is this anxiety about? What is this
Mm-hmm.
grief about? And just let it come up and feel it. And then the timer goes off and I go, okay, I'll visit you again tomorrow, but we're done today. And it's a way
Absolutely.
to allow bottled up things to have light shone on them so that they can be embraced and dissolved, but without feeling overwhelmed, because I never wanted to let anxiety or fear or grief come up because I was afraid it would be unending.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That was kind of the next thing that I was going to go into, and I consider this a little bit bigger,
Mhm.
but giving yourself presence, awareness, and attention
Mm.
when you're feeling what you're feeling is containing yourself. It is literally giving yourself safety. So when you have the emotions that are wild and stormy and feminine, you are containing yourself in that moment by giving yourself presence, awareness, attention, and allowing yourself to feel to the depths, which is what I think you were basically saying, right? Like the depth of what we're feeling.
Describe to someone who's listening is like, okay, well, what does that even mean to give it presence, awareness, and attention?
So for me, it meant doing exactly what you said, which is sitting, taking a few deep breaths. So breath work is really a really good partner to have in this type of practice.
Mhm.
And you can give yourself 10 minutes to do it for sure. And that gives you an extra amount of safety. Just like, okay, you only have to do this for 10 minutes. But listen, every time I think about something I should be doing, I have to think of a good example, but every time I think about something I should be doing and I'm not doing, but it gives me anxiety, and you don't even have to know that much about your emotion. You can just say, I have a feeling of anxiety.
Mhm.
And the only way that I have found in so far to really expand your capacity to feel that anxiety is to sit down and feel it and
Mhm.
go into it.
Mhm.
It feels a little bit conceptual, but it's not when you sit down and you can pinpoint where it is. For some people it's in the chest, for some people it's in the throat. When you can pinpoint where it is and go into it and allow it, and you can literally feel the walls that you try to put up against it coming up, and you just, if you just sit and allow that feeling to be there and to expand, that's kind of what I'm talking about. And you can do it in 10-minute appointments for
Yeah.
sure.
This is something I witnessed our fellow teacher, Baron Baptiste, do in a training one time. A woman had this terrible migraine and it came on and he said, well, where is it specifically? This pain. And this was a physical pain, not necessarily an emotional thing. And she said, my head. And he said, what, but where? And like, how big is it? And how dense is it? And he kept moving kind of closer to it. And as he's asking her to like put her attention on it, it started to just dissolve and break up. And then I saw him do that with people that were getting very emotional. He's like, where do you feel it in your body? Is it the size of a dinner plate or a baseball or a lemon? What's color is it? How much space does it take up? And so just to kind of put it in those like tangible terms, it was a really simple way for me to get access to like, okay, it feels about like the shape of a kidney bean and it's dark and it's sitting above my stomach.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. And
to
that's like
name it
attention.
in some way.
Definitely. And so that's giving, your emotions the attention that I was talking about, right?
Okay.
And being with yourself, sitting with yourself. And these can be anytime you have an upset, really, is what, if you can sit down and feel what has upset you, you will by default start to create space around that feeling. It's kind of like it creates spaciousness, and that expands your capacity to hold it. Does it go away? I think sometimes, and sometimes no, but I think we just get better adept at holding ourselves and everything that we are, our our past, our traumas, our emotions, our experiences, even our future. I think we just get better at holding all of that by expanding our capacity to hold all of that.
And I think we get to a point where you either expand your capacity to hold all of that, and then in doing so, because we're able to hold all of the emotions, all of the experiences of life, we can also expand it, in equal measure, expands our capacity for joy.
Yes, of
And
course.
if we're not willing to expand our capacity for the discomfort, for the shadow, for the darkness, we also limit our capacity for joy. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brene Brown said that, like, you can't pick and choose the emotions that you
Mhm.
want. So if you stifle the shadow parts of you, the parts that you don't want to feel, then you're automatically stifling joy, happiness, elation, celebration, all of those things that you do want to feel. And then we
Mhm.
just become numb, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of numb people walking around.
I shared this with you, but I'll share it with our listeners. I don't know if I'll get the quote right, and I'm not sure who said it. I saw it on a meme on Instagram, and it said, "Joy is the matriarch of all emotions, but she will
Mm.
not rise until all of her children have been entertained."
That's so good. That is so good. Absolutely. And this is the shadow work, right? So, and
Yeah.
just the act of understanding yourself, understanding the shadow part of you, just the act of allowing that part of you to exist and
Hmm.
just be
Hmm.
is such an amazing healing. Like it's literally healing your masculine traits, healing your masculine, the masculine part of you, giving yourself that containment so that your feminine parts you can feel joy and all of that.
And we
And
all
it's
have
just such a
masculine and
beautiful, sacred
feminine.
thing.
It's a funny thing. I have had some people in my coaching courses and that just are so resistant to this idea of masculine and feminine energy.
Hmm.
And I say to people, you can call it yin or yang, you could call it shadow and light, you could call it like riverbanks and the river. It doesn't. It's just a way that we understand the duality of energy.
Hmm.
And so we're not talking about men and women, or it's really just about the safe container to feel all of the chaos, if you will, of
Exactly.
emotion. So if
Yeah,
we have the chaos without the container, we have destruction.
absolutely. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that, so for me, if I were to say that I don't have chaotic emotions, that would just be a complete lie. And BS. And that would just be me trying to distract myself from what I'm actually feeling. And so I'm not saying that's the case for all women or anything like that. But if I were to say that that doesn't exist within me and that chaos doesn't exist, then I'm just completely out to lunch on who I am and what's actually happening for me in real time in the moment. And so
Mhm.
it just makes sense to me that to give myself some structure and order around that gives me balance,
Mhm.
more balance. And yeah, you're right. It's not men and women, it's like order and chaos, it's
Mhm.
schedule and the wild kind of
Mm.
thing.
Yeah, and if we take that, like if we speak about it in terms of the Buddhist teachings, it's the middle path, right?
Hmm.
Like the way to live is the middle path, and so it's like finding that, and in yoga we would say stira sukha, effort and ease. In the Taoist tradition they would say yin and yang. So it's all like finding a balance of the energy. And I think that in our society it's praised to be just good vibes only, and like
Right.
have a positive attitude and all this sort of toxic positivity, which
Hmm.
really pisses me off. Like
Hmm.
it
Me too.
makes me so fucking mad, because we're teaching people that you're only valued, you're only loved, you're only accepted if you're pleasant. And
You're
so
only
we're actually
worthy.
teaching ourselves like those nasty dark parts of you, the Medusa, the all
Yeah.
the the and the anger and the grief and all of that. They don't get a place at the table. They have to be pushed away in order for us to belong. So we don't even know how to entertain those things within ourselves because they're not welcome anywhere in our
Absolutely.
society.
Absolutely. And the problem with that is your Medusa, your villain, will rattle its cage in
Hmm.
there until she's heard.
Hmm.
And there is nothing you can do but let her sit at the table and have a voice so that she doesn't take over
Mhm.
your life and so that you're not spewing your anger all over the place. She needs a spotlight every once in a while because she's here for a reason.
Yeah.
And we can't just stuff her down like she doesn't matter because she's here for a reason for us.
Well, to me, the Medusa figure or archetype is anger, right? Like
Hmm.
it's anger, but we know that anger is sad's bodyguard. It's what comes out to fight for grief to be felt and heard.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so if we don't give her a space at the table, if we don't allow for rage and anger and wrath, even at times, we're denying our own healing because grief needs to be healed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you have your Medusa there holding her broadsword or whatever it is she holds, it's stopping you from accessing that sadness and that grief, then
Mhm.
it stays there repressed and takes up space in your nervous system. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know exactly how it works. All I know is that if there's a lot of repressed emotion in our nervous systems, they don't function properly.
Mhm.
And I don't know that someone who is secure is necessarily stronger. I think they just have less repressed emotions in their nervous system or
Mhm.
more space around the emotions. And then their nervous system functions properly in the world and they just hold themselves with, and it's maybe conceptual and I should probably find a better way to describe it, but they hold themselves with more, there's more structure and it's just these parts of us that are wild and chaotic aren't completely taking over.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, what I see around that is okay, so let's put this into like real terms.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so I've always had like growing up, I had two very distinct sides to me. I had the people pleaser, the good girl. I got straight A's and I was a cheerleader and I always was like good at my whatever job I had in school, like high school and all that. And then I had this rebel side that was the shadow side that just came out like had to be expressed over here. I could never quite meld the two of them. And so the rebel, I mean, I was grounded from grade 8 to grade 12, let's be real.
Me too. So she was like out and kind of running the show a little bit at times and got me into some serious trouble actually.
Oh, totally. Me too. Like some
Yeah.
pretty stupid stuff went on.
Yeah.
And so if we just kind of use that as an example of how like I didn't know how to contain all the parts. I didn't know how to welcome that curious, the wilder side of me to the table. So I repressed her to be loved and seen and belong. And then she would run the show and get me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that we all have some version of that, some part of ourselves that we suppress or we repress. And as long as we're doing that, we're putting a lot of energy into a false sense of being safe.
Absolutely.
We put our energy into other people are my source of safety. I need to belong with these people in order to be safe, but we're not safe within ourselves.
100%. Because how can we be if we have evicted and exiled a part of us
Mhm.
that is here for whatever, whatever reason that she exists, she is here for that reason. And so if we exile her and she doesn't get a say, how can we feel safe? It's like cutting off a part of ourselves and just putting it in the closet.
Yeah. So do you think
Definitely.
healing is actually just like we talk about healing and I hear people talk about their healing journey all the time and I'm like I don't even know what that means,
I know.
because it's so different for everyone. But I'm starting to question that now and what I'm sort of coming to is that healing is actually the cessation of going to war with yourself.
Oh, that's good. I like that. And just having that acceptance of all parts of you.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to
100%.
like
It's like truth.
suppress any parts of me. I don't need to go to war with myself. I can learn to have and the opposite of going to war with yourself is not just acceptance or it's not just like benign. It's like radical compassion for all of those parts. Like that anger, the petty part of ourselves, all of that came about for a reason because
Mm-hmm.
of wounds and experiences and if we could have the deepest level of compassion and go, of course you would feel that way. Of course that's a valid emotion because of what happened or you went through or whatever, and welcome it, then we stop being at war.
Yeah.
And I think when we
No
stop being at
wonder.
war with ourselves, we can stop being at war with each other.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I love that. No, what I say to myself is, well, no wonder. No
Mhm.
wonder you feel this way.
Mm. I
Um,
love that.
so the truth is that I wasn't sure I was ready to talk about this.
Mhm.
So, but I want to give a real life example for
Mhm.
me of what we're talking about. And I can't just make something up. It has to be like something that I've really experienced. So the truth is that I've recently had like a mini kind of relationship. And what I realized in that relationship is that I was expecting or wanting this person, this man,
Mhm.
to soothe my wounds from childhood. And I was suddenly thrown into childhood repair,
Mhm.
essentially. And I thought I had done that already.
Mhm.
And so I allowed myself to understand that no wonder I am looking for love in a place that I can't get it because
Mhm.
I'm accepting love that is not that I'm comfortable with.
Mhm.
No wonder I feel that way because it's not that I was neglected. I just wasn't shown emotionally that kind of love that I need to show myself now.
Mhm.
And so just the action of saying, no wonder I understand why I would have those feelings or have those thoughts, is literally loving myself enough through it. Does
I
that make
love
sense?
that. I love that. And I'm going through a similar thing. Like I just kind of into a relationship that, and then it's evolved more just into a friendship now. And it really hurt my heart, but it's not my heart right now. The higher part of me, the who I am now, like I'm okay. But there's a wounded child part of me that came up that wanted to be protected. And
Hmm.
I was with this man who was a great, like, big, strong, masculine protector. And I was looking, I think, to him to have those wounds healed and soothed as well. And that's not his job.
No, it's not at all. And it's quite the realization to understand this about
Mhm.
yourself. It's like, oh, I just want this man to make me feel loved.
Yeah.
There's an issue there,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, we can do all the things to give ourselves safety that we think we should do. And those things are good, I think, and they work to a degree. But at some point, until we get to the bottom of why we're feeling how we feel, or not why, but we're getting to the bottom of the feeling that we're feeling, we can't find those answers
Yeah.
until we get to the bottom of them. And so just giving it that presence and attention and awareness so you can feel those things is giving yourself safety.
And even to just see it, because as soon as I spoke it, I
Yeah,
was
see
very
it.
candid and spoke it. And this person was really great about, also very emotionally intelligent, and like was able to speak the wounds that were coming up for him. And we recognize it's like we're all trying to soothe ourselves with other people.
Yeah.
And I think that most human beings are guilty of that. And then we wind up in codependency and enmeshment and all these kinds of things. But when we learn to soothe ourselves and become the source of our safety, I believe, we can show up not needing someone to choose us because we've already chosen ourselves. We go in choosing the relationship. We go in choosing ourselves, essentially, like this is
Hmm.
healthy for me and it's expanding me in some way. But I mean, God almighty, it's like a cesspool of muck to figure it all out.
It really is. And so sometimes it's not so easy to just explain, although I try my best and you're really good at articulating it. But it's funny that you say choosing because that was what was really triggering me in this little relationship that I had is I felt like I wasn't being chosen.
Mhm.
And that was the key. That was the key for me to understand and go back to the emotions I felt when I was a child and finish out those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I called it processed out the
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And when I did that, I went back to when I was a kid and I was being bullied in the school grounds, and I was like, I had such high anxiety when I was a child. I couldn't believe it. I wept for myself, but I allowed myself, because when I was a kid, I was too overwhelmed to finish those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It was too overwhelming. So they got cut off, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's an emotional arc. And emotions will, you taught me that emotions will end. They don't end, but they'll stop, right? And I think that that got cut off a lot when I was a child and became repressed. And so when I went back with the key, I am not chosen, and said, like, how did it feel in that moment to not be chosen? How did it feel to not be loved by people, to be told that you're different and weird and you're called a nerd all the time and a geek and just weird? And I allowed myself to feel that, and I
Mm-hmm.
processed out all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that I was looking for someone to choose me, when really what I needed to do was understand and figure out how to choose myself. And I don't think that's a prescribed action. I think that's something that's personal for everyone.
Yeah, I'm grappling with that right now. Honestly, I love this honest conversation because for anybody listening, like sometimes people think that I have it all figured out. I'm so far from having anything figured out. I'm just
That's what
sharing,
happens when you have a breakdown.
yeah, just sharing my messy journey with people and
Yeah.
hoping they can find some inspiration in
Hmm.
my, I'm failing at adulting and I'm like, but one of the things that I want to say about this, like learning to choose myself is a big part of that for me has been to lean into my friendships. I
Mm.
actually abandoned myself in so many ways with my friendships over the years. I mean, I've managed to maintain some good friendships, but not given them the nurturing, the time, the energy, the effort that I am choosing to now because I wanted so badly for my relationship always to be the first thing, when I was married and have like, and I would give up all of that. And now I'm realizing, no, choosing me is maintaining, like keeping all of my beautiful connections and having a network of great people around me, that my life is full. And it's not about my friends choosing me, it's me choosing to nurture those friendships. And I find that that is filling me up in a way that I forgot about, Like since I was
Amazing.
maybe 13 or 14, like forgot about that. As soon as I got swept up in being boy crazy, I gave up like prioritizing deep, meaningful friendships. And I'm not saying I don't have those. Of course I do, but now I'm just leaning into them with a new, like, eyes open, a reverence for what they, like, my longtime friendships bring to my life, and having conversations like we're having right now with dear friends helps us process those emotional loops.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing that's coming to me right now is like, what better way to feel safe than to surround yourself with loving, capable, beautiful women who you can have deep, intimate relationships with?
Yeah.
Like, it's just to know that I have women around me that have my back.
Hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of what women can give each other in community. To
Hmm.
know that I have them around, have my back. Like, I have someone that I can talk to about almost anything. And it's not like I have 4 or 5 really close people that I can do that with. So it's not just one, but
Hmm.
it's so important. And
Yes.
it's just a beautiful thing. I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, I think and it's interesting because I've sort of separated myself for many reasons. And it's coming clear now. I thought it was because I was busy at work and all of this, but I can see very clearly that it was more about being chosen by the men in my life.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, 100%. I get
Yeah,
that too.
and I could see myself following a pattern very
Which is
recently in
great.
that too, and going,
That's
okay,
so true.
now this is got to stop. I need to choose my life, my people, and then if I choose to have a relationship, to choose to invite that person into the world that I've created, not be chasing, but to
Absolutely.
become, you're the chosen one when you choose yourself. And then it doesn't matter if someone else chooses you.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's so true. It's so true. So you stand here in your vibrancy and your alignment with your purpose, alignment with yourself in a deep way. I mean, everything else just falls into place, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you have a man or not
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think that we become more sort of magnetic
Hmm.
when we're very self assured. Now, I want to talk about the fine line though, because there's a lot of women out there, and I'm probably going to piss some people off right now, but that's okay. I don't mind doing that,
Hmm. No, I know you don't mind.
that say that that's what they're doing, but it's actually guarding, wall building, defensive. It's just a different protective strategy than choose me. It's like, I don't want you.
Hmm.
I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. And
Hmm.
I see a lot of people walking that path, and I can see and feel the fear on them, like that's
Yeah.
guiding that. The pendulum swings when we're talking about anxious attachment. It's like you want to be chosen and you're chasing, and and then there's the avoidant attachment, which is intimacy equals pain. So I'm going to go the other way.
Mhm.
They're actually two opposite strategies that come from the same wound.
Absolutely.
They're just
Yeah.
different coping mechanisms for the same pain.
Yeah.
But, we sometimes people get so hyper independent, and then they say, well, I'm healed and I don't need a man, or I don't need a woman, or I don't need whatever that is. But if they really look at themselves, they're denying that tender, sweet part of themselves, and they're denying their longing and their desire. And this is something that you and I talked about a couple weeks ago that I want to touch on. We had a really beautiful conversation, and you said that women are not taught to uh, embrace their desires, to like let our desire, like to let desire be as important as, like, paying the bills and like doing the things that we've got to do. But like, our desires make us selfish is the message that we've
Yeah,
gotten in our
absolutely.
life.
And that they're too big and that nobody wants them anyways. And who are we to have these desires? We
Hmm.
need to make ourselves small so that we don't piss anybody else off.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is actually, I think a lot of that comes from like the other women around us who are not living their authentic lives can get real pissed off when there's a woman that's vibrating and in line with her impulses and desires. And
Hmm.
our like I'm starting to learn that our impulse aligning with our desires and aligning with our impulses is the energy that moves mountains
Yeah.
in the world. It's the energy that really creates the world.
Yeah, so there's this really interesting little sort of dichotomy that's coming up for me right now as you're speaking about this. Like, to say I choose me, and I'm going to create these good social networks, and I'm going to take care of me and do my time on my own, and then I don't, we could easily get swept away, and like, I don't need a man, and I deeply desire to have a partner to share
Hmm.
my life with. But we've got to separate that I need someone to choose me from I desire to share from a full cup.
Absolutely. Yes. So I talked about this on my live last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't need anybody. I'm fine. And I'm actually better off alone is an immature masculine. It's a wounded masculine.
Mhm.
And it's similar. It's slight, but the difference is a healed masculine is I've got me.
Mhm.
I've got me.
Mhm.
And so the energy is really, really subtle, but it is different. And I think that's kind of what you were saying when you were talking about, women are like, I don't need anybody.
Mhm.
So that's a wound that's coming from a wounded place rather than my cup is full place and I got myself. And I
Got
think that's kind of
myself.
in line with what you were just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I got myself, and therefore I can share myself unafraid because if this person comes or they go, I'm good.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
have, I would like to, have my life enriched and enrich someone else's life, but I won't be at a deficit if this person is not in my life.
Yes, absolutely. And we can see, so I feel like when we're healed, is healed the right word? Or when we can hold all of these parts of ourselves, we can see more clearly when we're about to make a decision where, like for me, for my, like you just using my example, I can see that man cannot give me the kind of love that I want now.
Mhm,
Whereas I
mhm,
couldn't see it before because I
mhm,
was wounded. There was no seeing it. I was like looking through this filter. And so when we are in line and aligned with our own desires and our own impulses, there's a clarity. The decisions come from a place of clarity, giving us more confidence out in the world. And then it becomes not about what can someone do for me, or I guess it becomes less about, oh, can someone fix me, or can someone, I need someone, and more about, oh, I desire to have someone and I want to have a love that is, or whatever we're talking
yeah.
about, that is of a higher level, a more sacred nature.
And so now we get to my favorite part of this, whereas this is like, we need to stop buying into the Hollywood fairy tale about what relationships, including friendships, should look like because it is crazy on these TV shows and movies. It's like, oh, she's my person and I can't do anything without her. Like even with BFFs and then in relationships, it's like you complete me. Like all of that's garbage. It's not healthy. It's wounded people vampiring off of each other.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And so we need to stop romanticizing all of that and really drop into reality and say, well, like if we have a 50%, almost 60%, I believe now divorce rate in North America, then maybe that's not working.
Hmm. Absolutely. And how can we build our relationships from a more authentic place? And that starts with, as you said, being more aligned with who we are. And part of that is our desires, our impulses, and also what we don't fucking like.
Well, and you know what? You just said built, and I love this because I had this conversation with a gentleman not very long ago about we're always looking for that spark, that like teenage, like wild love, your first kind of like the phantom ex love that you have that and if you went back to it, it probably really wasn't that great at the time. It's that you made it great by remembering it a certain way over
Yeah,
so many
totally.
years. Totally. But like, actually, I believe that real connection, trust, real intimacy is built.
Hmm.
It's not, it's not just there. It's not like a spark. It's not just a soulmate connection. I mean, I'm not saying that that doesn't exist, but I think it's like built by healthy people who
Absolutely.
choose
Yeah.
to build it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's showing up every day and choosing to build it,
Yeah.
right? And how do we build it? Well, we communicate in a way that is, I guess, authentic. And
Well,
we,
can I just add to that? We
yeah, please.
communicate in a way that does not abandon, betray, or disappoint ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's where
we're
I
all
was
walking
headed.
around with fear of abandonment, but we abandon ourselves to be loved.
Hmm.
And so, if we
100%.
can learn to communicate in a way that we don't abandon or betray ourselves or disappoint our future selves or our 5-year-old selves, then we're on to something. And if we're surrounded by people who can hold that, then we're
Hmm.
in a healthy place.
Absolutely. And friends, I can tell you the truth,
Yeah. Right.
like you.
Yeah. And you. Yeah. Yeah. Folks, get yourself some friends that tell you the truth
Yeah.
and say thank you when they do, because
Yeah.
when you get truth reflected back at you, that's when healing can happen. Now,
Absolutely.
do you think healing's ever done? Is it ever finished?
I am starting to I'm starting to believe that I think we just get better at holding ourselves. Like I said, I don't
Mhm.
know that some of these things ever go away.
Mhm.
I don't know that the high emotion I have when, like, will my anxious attachment ever go away? I don't know if it'll ever go away. I think I just get better at handling it and understanding myself in it, right? Which, going back to like know thyself.
Hmm.
And then we can communicate in a better way, and we can understand. Like, if you don't know yourself, you can't understand when you're abandoning yourself, and when you're, yeah, just abandoning yourself. You're so articulate. I need to get more articulate somehow. But if you don't know yourself, you can't understand when you're doing that. And
Yeah.
so I think just knowing ourselves in every scenario that we can possibly know ourselves in, and understanding ourselves at a deeper level, just expands our capacity, for one, to hold everything.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm starting to challenge the word healing, because it innately tells me that there's something wrong with me, when really I think I'm just getting more comfortable. What did you call it? Like, in just really radically accepting all of those parts of me.
Yeah. So I think that when we're talking about healing, one of the things that I have recognized is that we don't, the term unhealed is more really like us operating from, like, we've forgotten parts of ourselves. We've abandoned, we've betrayed, we've disappointed ourselves, and we've kind of like Frankensteined ourselves into what is pleasing to other
Hmm.
people.
Pleasing,
And
yes.
so for me, what I have been really in the practice of recently, and I've always done this in certain areas of my life, but haven't brought it necessarily to the relationship forefront until most recently, is not only to know myself, but to tell on myself. And this is one of the biggest tools, because when you put it out there and you say, oh, whoa, I just caught myself almost like trying to manipulate you to get love.
Hmm.
And I don't want to be that person. When you put it out there in the open like that, now you're like you've said it, it's in the light, there's nothing dark or shameful about it,
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
me.
accountable. And so it's that one step further beyond just like, okay, I just witnessed myself doing it. I had a call with my friend yesterday, and we were both talking about this kind of anxious attachment and telling on ourselves about how that shows up. And there's something really freeing about putting it out in the universe. It's not saying it's an excuse, it's not shaming ourselves. Is just like, whoa, I just caught myself about to do this. And that does not feel aligned with the person that I want to become.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that how can we know that it's not in alignment until we fully see it and
Mhm.
understand that it's happening? And
Mhm.
so if you're just constantly pushing down those dark parts of you that you don't want to see, then I mean, I feel like when we name it, like you said, it's almost an immediate, oh, well, no wonder. No
Yeah.
wonder. It's almost an immediate integration of, okay, this is out of the integrity. And by that, I just mean like who I am and who I want to be, this does not align with.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like just naming it is so powerful. It's bringing it out into the open
Yeah.
and just letting it be out there.
Yeah.
All the
Or in our
raw,
in our
ugly,
perfectly
rearing heads.
imperfect kind of way, like none of us, there's nothing to get right.
Yeah,
As we've heard
exactly.
in our teachings over the years, nothing to fix, nothing to do, nothing to figure out. It's just like, can we be with it all?
Mm-hmm.
Can we be
Yes,
with all of ourselves and welcome all of ourselves home? Remember that all the parts of us are welcome. And when we do that, I think we do become not only magnetic in terms of romantic relationships, but in friendships, in business, all our money, like all of it. We become magnetic when we remember that we're whole.
absolutely. And you can't take any part of you away, really.
Yeah.
Because if you do, you're just abandoning yourself.
What's one thing that you would, like a piece of advice that you would give to someone right now who's just had their rug pulled out from underneath them in their career or their marriage, or their, something's happened in their life, something's been exposed or whatever. It feels like their life is coming apart and it's unbearable to them right now. What advice would you give someone in that position right now?
Well, one of the things that has changed my life was understanding what self-care was for me and upping self-care
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I mean by that, I'm not talking about just like manicures and pedicures, and those are wonderful things though, but doing something for yourself every day is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we're stuck and we have no idea what to do and we can't do anything, like if you're in a relationship that you just cannot do anything about, or if your partner, let's say, going through something that you can't control,
Mm-hmm.
doing something for yourself every day. So you start to treat yourself better and it just reverberates out into the rest of your life. Every nook and cranny gets um, filled with a little bit of light instead of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many women, just like feel bad if they're going to go and get something done for themselves or if they're going to go get a massage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, self care started to look like taking time alone,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
daily. Started to understand my boundaries sometimes, saying no when I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say yes. So like it's all intermixed, right? So that's people pleasing, and so that's a whole nother thing, and that's but like saying no is like that's a rebellious act sometimes, and it's for you.
Yeah,
And
and
so
talk
just
about
doing
setting
that.
your nervous system on fire if you've been a people pleaser as a way to be accepted and be chosen, and then we say no all of a sudden, then it's like danger, danger.
Totally. Yeah, I know. That is definitely a thing for sure. And it's a matter of understanding that that's happening and learning how to regulate in those moments, right? And
Yeah.
even when anxious attachment rears its ugly head, sometimes it's just a matter of me learning how to regulate in those moments. But I just say self-care. Like if there's nothing you can do and you sometimes life is so hard that you can't make it harder by trying to do the work and it's too overwhelming. Like when I'm in the storm of my emotions, it's not always the best time for me to go sit and feel them
I
because it's
love that you
just
just
too
said that
much.
because I think that this is a really specific detail that we want to get to people. When you're really going through the thick of it, everybody just get in the fucking lifeboat and hang on. Like just grab
Yes.
a life raft, take care of yourself. And
Hmm.
when the storm starts to calm a little bit, you can start to ask the questions like, okay, if the wound is where the light enters, what am I supposed to see right now? And how can I
Yeah.
become more self-aware? The time to do it is not when your chest has been ripped open and your heart's laid bare on the table in front of you. Like that's just masochistic. Like
Yeah.
get a massage,
Yeah.
go talk to a girlfriend, take some time alone, do some breath work. And then when you are a little bit more regulated, a little less raw, then make an appointment to sit with your emotions,
Absolutely.
journal about it, go see a coach, a
Build your
therapist, whatever you
capacity,
need, build your capacity. But consider
emotional.
that when you're in the thick of the storm, you are at the edges of your previous capacity, and the new you hasn't been born yet. It doesn't know how to hold any more than that. So have compassion for yourself. Hold the biggest thing you ever held.
Hmm.
And then when you feel yourself containing that again a little bit, then dive in and do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like when maybe when you're just can barely keep your head above water, maybe self-care looks like giving the kids to your sister so they can have a sleepover and you can just sit there
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I know that that sounds a little bit crazy, but I think this is the reality. This is real. This is
Yeah.
what it is sometimes for women and some of the things that and for everybody, but one of the things that's come up is like, well, I'm unhappy in my relationship, what do I do? And I talk about it with my clients and with my people that I'm helping, or I talk with them about it, but what I say to them is start upping your level of self-care.
Hmm. Yeah.
Start treating yourself at that higher level, taking
Yeah.
care of yourself, like you said. Start taking care of yourself every day, a little bit every day.
Even just one small thing, like keep your word to yourself in one small way. If it's you're going to get 10 minutes of fresh air or
Yes.
exercise, or you're going to drink a certain amount of water, like it could be something so small. but the act of doing something consistently helps us to claim like a new identity, really. Like I'm worth.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's like walking forward onto this like plane of fire that you don't know what it's going to be. And you just have to like keep taking steps forward because you have no choice.
Yeah.
Plus, we're women and we're strong enough and we're going to do that no matter what.
Yeah.
So you have no choice. You have to just keep walking forward and understand that you might feel destabilized. So, what do you need to give yourself in this moment?
Hmm.
Sometimes for me, that looks like I just need to be present in what I'm doing right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that a lot of the times is like, okay, being present with my kids
Yeah.
is one of those things. And that was how I started to choose myself as well. Choose myself. Like, how can I choose myself in this moment? Well, I can be present
Hmm.
with whoever I'm with, whatever I'm doing, I can be right here.
Yeah. And for me, I've been, when I feel that overwhelm, I'll just take myself down to my yoga studio and do someone else's class and get present in my breath and in my body and connect with community. And that becomes a radical act of self-care, because
Hmm.
normally I'm teaching or if I'm in the studio, I'm checking out what needs to be cleaned or this or that. I have not until this point in my life actually gone to my studio humbly as just a student to receive and be. And it's been a great act of self-care. So it'll be different for everyone, but I
Yeah.
love that for advice. I think we don't do that enough, especially as women. I shouldn't even say as women. I think men are hard on themselves
I
too.
know. I
Just
know.
human beings.
Yeah. Human
We
beings.
have so much pressure, and maybe we'd be a little more compassionate, take care of ourselves, take care of each other. If you've got friends going through stuff, what's been really great for me, seeing the friends that really show up. Like, wow.
Hmm.
And it's really taught me, like, I want to be a friend that shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
means a lot.
Yeah. It's
It means
great.
a lot.
Erin, where can people find you if they want to, like, you know, learn from you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. It's underscore epayne underscore. That's
Yeah.
my Instagram handle. And Erin Payne on Facebook. So I've been putting a lot more stuff out there right now. I am doing weekly lives, which I want to transition into Zoom meetings in the fall.
Hmm.
But I feel like I need a little street cred, as you would say. And so I'm
Yeah.
putting out some stuff that I'm up to. So you
Hmm.
can check out like what I'm up to and what I'm teaching and what I'm putting out into the world on my Facebook. Actually would probably be the best. Erin Payne on my
Okay.
Facebook. Thank you.
Amazing. We'll put the link in the show notes. Thanks so much, my friend. I love you dearly. I feel
I love
so
you too,
blessed to walk
Pammer.
this path with you. And I love that we got to share one of our typical kind of deep conversations
Yeah,
with, like, everybody else is like a fly on the wall.
yeah, absolutely. It's like this is I mean, we have these kind of conversations all the time. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm super excited to be here. Thanks, Pammer.
If you like the show, please share the show. If you think this episode would be helpful to someone, send it to them as an act of compassion and care for someone who's suffering or struggling. And please check out all of the other offerings that we have at Shift Labs. Until next time.